So, welcome to the August edition of the Disability Ministry Virtual Roundtable. My name is Beth from Key Ministry. My colleague Lara is here as well, although now I can't see her, but I'm pretty sure I saw her earlier. So we are delighted to have you join us for this conversation today. Now, in my mind, this one is a little bit different. Okay, so normally we are disability ministry people, and I'm air quoting in case you can't see me, but we're disability ministry people that talk about disability ministry. Um, and we're often talking about how our churches can better um, include, create spaces of belonging, serve with individuals with disabilities. And we often think of that as maybe disability since birth, or, it's maybe earlier on in their lives or whatever. What I want us to think about today is if you live long enough, every one of us is going to be part of the disability community. Okay, it's open enrollment, and it's really the only community, like the only people group that's the case. And so, what are some of the disabilities that maybe the senior members of our congregation are facing, that disabilities that they kind of grew into, shall we say, that they not what we're normally talking about, but what are some of the disabilities of aging? What does that look like for our churches? And how can we start having conversations, not just within the quote disability ministry arena, but as our church as a whole? How can we start having these discussions to ensure that our senior saints are able to fully participate in the life of the church? So, can I get a thumbs up or like some kind of nod or something if this makes sense? Like if this is something we want to talk about today. All right, awesome. Okay, so already in the chat, we're seeing mobility, cognitive, hearing loss, but not like no knowledge of ASL kind of thing. Hearing loss, yeah. Low vision, mobility, hearing deficits, dementia, mild cognitive impairment, difficulty eating. That's a good one. Chronic illness, Parkinson's, ALS. So these are some of the diseases, disabilities that come along with aging. Walking, again, that mobility. Oh, this is a good one. Driving, so daylight related. And, I have to tell you, last night I was driving home from book club, little later than normal. It's my first time driving at night in a really long time because it's summer here. I forgot it's different. So I appreciate that one. Thanks for bringing that up. Financial difficulties. Oh, that's a good one. Difficulty with everyday independence. Yeah. And that can include like some toileting things as well, right? Technology access and understanding. Oh, that's a good one. Older people's ability to climb up and down stairs. Yeah, yeah, that is for sure. Wow, we are just, okay, it's we're chatting up a storm here in the chat. Inability to avoid a bathroom for more than an hour. Yeah. And I mean, they're like toileting can be a whole thing in and of itself. But even like getting on and off, like a regular size toilet can be an issue. Urinary incontinence, sitting still for prolonged periods, anxiety. That's a good one. Trauma, grief, and isolation. Oh, and I'm so glad Tori's on this chat today. She's an expert. Sensitivity to temperature as their skin is getting thinner. This is such a good one. It's almost hilarious to me. If you poll members of the congregation about the temperature of the sanctuary, you're going to get some very different answers. And a lot of it has to do with the age of the person, I think. Injuries come easier. Yeah, unfortunately. Need for materials in large print or braille. Grief of loss, I think it's loss of loved ones. That is so true, because if you live long enough, the circle of people starts to shrink. Longer recovery and healing and just bodily changes in general. Feelings of isolation, loneliness. Those who are aging often experience sensory differences, so sensitivity to sound, light, etc. Loneliness. Most of their original friends are gone. Yeah. Retaining understanding that they are valuable as their previously acquired skills decline. Yeah. So yeah, when we're not able to serve in the way or participate in the way that we once did, how do we know that we are still valuable members of the body of Christ? Fall risks, lower energy, abuse or exploitation, short-term memory issues, lower immune systems, more likely to get sick from kids with colds, dietary issues, diabetes, yeah, along with the easier or more prone to injuries, easier to injure, how quickly life can change from independence to dependence. I mean, what's, the thing about when you break your hip, that's kind of like starts it gets really tricky and things can go downhill quickly. Navigating medical systems related to new disability status. Holy cow, we've got a long list here. So I'm seeing some very physical things. A lot have to do with mobility. I think some are like vision and hearing related. A lot of it has to do with loneliness and isolation and grief. We have a lot of things that go along with mobility and the fall risks and easier to be injured. And then we've got some toileting things. So lots and lots of so clearly this is something that it's kind of on our radar, right? So what I would like to do now is open it up. And would anybody like to share maybe how some of these things are addressed in their church, either in a formal way, like if you have some kind of care department or, something that's some ministry that's working with seniors, or just maybe how kind of across the board in general, this is being addressed. So you can raise your hand and that'll help me see you. Or throw something in the chat or shout it out. And Tori, I'm looking at you in case you want to kick us off. And Tori also has such good resources, especially with like dementia. Like that's a whole nother thing. But can I just call on you, Tori? Do you mind kicking us off with some thoughts?
That's totally fine. I was like containing myself, like, okay, other people have stuff they could say, and then I can fill in blanks if there are still gaps. Yeah, it's just if you are in a church, you have people with disabilities that are caused by aging. Like that's pretty clear in just the number of responses and the amount of people on this call, right? So it has to be on our radar. And so many of the things that we think we are trying or implementing or bringing in, or the equipment or the stuff for kids with disabilities, those are going to help our aging population too. But we have to market it differently, if I could use that word, right? So many of the same strategies, even things like fidgets and just seating options and stuff, are really what are going to help the aging population, but it has to look different, sound different, and be offered differently for them to be receptive to it. Because I think the key difference in those populations is that people who are having an increase in dependence and disability due to aging are not going to name it. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to deal with it. So there's a very different personal approach for them than there is in, the child born with a disability whose parents are helping them figure it out as they grow. So I think that's my number one thing is, as churches and as ministry leaders, we've got to think first and foremost about the dignity and the engagement of the adults. And Lindsay's got stuff to say, so I want to let Lindsay talk.
Right, but so I love the, like, dignity first, so think okay, thank you for kicking us off, Tori. So we're gonna go Lindsay and then Mary.
Yeah, hi, Lindsay Whelan Capel here. I uh yeah, I love this topic because it's kind of how I have always thought about this. And so often I feel in the disability space like, why aren't we talking about this? So I was thrilled to see that this was the topic for today. Um, I think one of the main things that my church does well in this area is having hybrid worship. So there's always Zoom worship, and it's not just Zoom worship, but it's like actual engagement. So throughout the entire service, there is welcoming to the people, whether you're in person or online. There's during the greeting, we encourage them to turn their cameras on, and we all wave to to the video so they can see who's there and say hi, see the communion is offered to the screen. So there's just throughout the whole service there is intentionality. We know some people are only going to be joining us on Zoom. And so my church also just set up a parish model where we've grown a lot in the last couple of years. So it's kind of by area of town. And I was just so thrilled to see that they have an at-large parish, which is for online worshipers, missionaries, and others who are just kind of out of I think there might be a few other things in there, but I just was so thrilled that like online worshipers have their own elder and deacon and have they're part of the conversation just continuously. I think now that we have that technology, of course, some folks need help accessing it. So that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I think that's a really key component that we have post-COVID that is really helpful. So
Thank you. So yeah, so we will consider that one of the hashtag pandemic blessings that we learned how to do hybrid worship. So what I'm hearing from Lindsay is that the hybrid worship, so providing that online access, but making it intentional so that there is engagement. And she gave some great examples. And Lindsay, people would love if you could throw a link in the chat for an example, if that's possible. And now I can't see you, but there you are. If that's possible, people would love to see an example. And then Lindsay also mentioned the parish model, that their church uses a parish model, and that she's thrilled to see that this, hybrid, this online group is their own, like they have their own deacon and all that. So that's pretty cool. All right. Mary had her hand up. Mary, do you still want your hand up?
Yes,
And then we'll go to Bonnie, and then we'll go to the chat.
I think our number one problem with, especially with adults with um, disabilities, is training the pastors on how to handle them. I have just recently been asked to leave my church because I have severe attention deficit disorder that I didn't find out about until I was an adult. And I have cerebral palsy. I have just recently earned to be a certified lay speaker in the United Methodist Church. And my pastor would not allow me to speak in front of the church because of my disabilities. And when I fought that, my pastor rebuked me and belittled me in front of the church. So, and of course, I spoke my mind. But they don't always understand adults with disabilities and that we want to be a part of the church.
Thank you, Mary, for sharing. And I am so sorry that was your experience. And I know we got to talk a little bit about it last month. So yes, definitely educating pastors and leadership about disability, and what it looks like, and how we can, with or without disabilities, how we can all be using our gifts to, to serve and to be part of the body of Christ. So thank you, Mary, for sharing your experience. And if you have access to the chat, people are giving you some love in the chat. So I hope you'll check it out. Bonnie.
Hi, I'm new to this group. I am a retired disability rights advocate, and I am a current student at Christian Theological Seminary, where I'm working on my MDiv, my Master's in Divinity. And I've been basically legally blind for my entire life, and I've had a variety of experiences in churches. I've had the situations like Mary, who had been told that I could not be a leader because I couldn't see. And then I've had really good experiences. Currently, I am involved in doing student ministry. I did student ministry at a church last year, and some of the things that we were able to do is we were able to get large print materials, large print bulletins made, which didn't just help me, but it helped a few other folks in the congregation that were losing vision. And then larger print overheads so that people could see the music and the process of the worship service. They made accommodations for me to be able to um, offer the words of institution and perform at the communion. And we worked on a lot of education things. I did some work, some kind of I did some I can't what to call them. I'm having one of those brain moments, senior moment.
All right.
I'm guilty on that
apropos.
one. But we did some work in our adult ed program, in our what I call the older folks, adults that got together before church, for worship. And that we talked about things like, well, I did a Native American series, which I thought was fun. And then I did a series of discussions on disability and people with disabilities and how we could make them feel welcome in churches. So I did a lot of that kind of stuff, and I'm looking forward to working with the new church this fall and spring. And I know that the pastor there has some ADHD issues, and he's excited about me being there as part of their worship team. And I'm, like I do, one of my favorite sermons, I've done this a number of times in different churches, is called "Somebody Just Slapped Mud on My Eyes." And it's about John 9 and Jesus' encounter with the blind man. But I take it from a different angle. I take it from the viewpoint of the blind man, whom I call Seymour, because he could see less before and he could see more after he met Jesus.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah, humor is a huge part of my life. I can't leave home without it, because I just run into so many questions like, is that one of them blind dogs? Was my favorite one. I told him she had to see
Humor is
my
a
cat
good
at home.
tool. Humor is a good tool. All right, Bonnie, I love what you're sharing. One of the things that really stuck out to me is you gave some examples of something that was designed to help one person or a small group of people, such as large print bulletins. My favorite is captioning on any video that's being shown in the sanctuary. Those are things that were designed to help, a few people, but really benefit everybody. So I think that's a really, really good point. I'm looking at Charlotte. We talk about universal design a lot. Like this, that's
Yes.
an example of something that really can help everybody.
Yep.
All right, here's what we're going to do next. We're going to go to Patty, Sylvia, Sarah, and then I'm going to go to the chat. Patty, take it away.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Patty Collinsworth. I'm a priest in the Episcopal Diocese of Rochester up in New York State. And what I'm finding and talking with people in our diocese, in our region, is that older people are really having trouble climbing the stairs up and down, so that providing examples like we've had to move where our choir, changes into their robes and things like that. They can no longer walk up to the organ loft. And so they're really noticing that we actually need to do something around accessibility of our buildings. It's less so because of people with disabilities, as they would say it, but as people are aging, they're finding we really got to do something, since the majority of the people in many of our congregations are much on the older side and are having mobility issues. So I can relate to a lot of what Tori has just shared, of really finding the right language to use, because I'm finding there's still a lot more stigma around disability than there is with aging. That's just some of what I'm finding in my experience as a worship leader in our churches.
Thank you. I appreciate your experience. Thanks for being here today. Yeah, the physical structure of the buildings, I mean, it can get pretty tough, right? If we're, I mean, everything from the weight of the door to you have to go up a step in order to reach the elevator, like those kinds of things. Thank you, Patty. All right, we're going to go Sylvia next. Hello, Sylvia.
Hello, I am the director of the Special Needs Ministry at First Baptist here in Maryland. Um, I think we do a lot for our seniors, not just the disability population, but the neurotypical population, even as we're aging. We do have a senior care pastor who offers a lot of opportunities. They meet on Mondays for some kind of activity. They meet on Wednesdays um, for Senior Wednesday kind of activities where they have speakers coming in and giving instructions. And then we have Agape, which is for the older group of individuals. And then we have a group called Friendly Visitors that call and check on the seniors in their homes. In church, we use a QR code that you can scan with your phone to get the bulletins and the program and the services that are going on. There's a senior row where that's designed for seniors to sit in a central location so that they can have better access. What else do we do? There's a wheelchair alcove that is situated throughout the sanctuary, all throughout the sanctuary, where individuals in wheelchairs and different mobility devices can access, where they have in seats and things that can accommodate them. We have Sunday school class for individuals that are specifically designed for individuals with disabilities. That can come to one of our services. I do a special new members class for individuals with disabilities who do not necessarily need all the information that is given to the new members that are joining all activities. We encourage any individual with a disability, with or without a disability, to join any of the, we have 120, we probably have 130 different ministry activities that cover different areas, like banner ministry, the choirs, those kinds of things, that we invite our individuals with disabilities to make sure that they can serve and support those ministries. If any ministry leader has difficulty embracing an individual with disabilities that come into the ministry, I will get a phone call and I will go into training with them so that they can make those accommodations. I think we do great things at our church for individuals. Senior members, particularly, that's another passion of mine, aside from the disability ministry, is to make sure that they get connected. I really push to make sure that we have those electronic doors. If you're coming in the church and your arms are full, or you have your walkers or assistive devices, all you gotta do is use your elbow to push the button. We do have online service because we are an international church. We can have 23 nations viewing us on Sunday, so we do try to make sure that everybody is included. That's us at First
I
Baptist.
love it. So first of all, for those of you who have not been on these roundtables for the last 5 years, we love Sylvia, and you want Sylvia on your team. And as you can tell from the passion she has for the people of her church community, you definitely want her on your team. So a few things that I heard from Sylvia, they have some very intentional groups, like creating community for seniors, that they've thought through having some like better access seating, like throughout, not just like in the back or not just in the front, but throughout their worship space. I think I heard that they have like some, they provide visits or some kind of like, like a care team that touches base and checks in. That they're really good at communicating to new folks to the church, like to get them included. And then if something's not going quite right, Sylvia will step in and train. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go Sarah, Chat, Melissa, and then, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but Pretmar 82. Okay, so Sarah, I lost you. Sarah.
I'm not sure if this is the best place to ask the question or if we'll want to table it for later in the discussion, but my question is around things like potlucks and basically anything where people are having to stand in line for a particular period of time. A lot of people might have a mobility condition that makes it hard for them to stand still, but they still look like they can walk fine. So how do we kind of reduce the amount of time that people are standing there in pain in order to access the event that they want to be part
Okay,
of?
I love this
the particular
question.
church?
It's oddly specific, and yet food and, communing together, like that's part of our churches, right? And we need for everybody to be able to participate. So, does anybody have any thoughts on thinking through how you do like a food service situation? Oh, we've got lots of hands up. So if you can throw it, well, you want to throw in the chat or just you can shout it out. We'll try this. Go
This
ahead and
is-
shout it out if you have
This is
potluck
Bonnie.
ideas.
This is Bonnie, and I was going to say that we call that the dreaded buffet, the dreaded buffet sometimes, because a blind person going in there and trying to find foods can be a real challenge. And then if you have a guide dog who's really inexperienced, like my daughter does, that might be a little difficult too. What we do is we get a partner, yeah, don't have to assign somebody, but get a friend to help you get your food. And that's something that maybe deacons can do. Is offer, like they can give this as an announcement before the beginning of the event. If anyone needs assistance, please let us know, and we'll be glad to have someone help you with the table.
I love that. What a great role that would be for students too.
Mm-hmm.
Man. All right, any more potluck thoughts?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes. Couple of things. First of all, make sure that parents keep their little children under control. So they're not dodging in front. They're not bad
Not
little
creating an
children.
obstacle course in the potluck.
Yes, not creating an obstacle course, not unintentionally getting in the way to go grab something because they know that somebody can't see them or they know that somebody doesn't move very fast. It's a great way for, as you said, students to learn to relate to people with disabilities of all ages. I'm blessed that every Wednesday night somebody comes running up to me, can I help you with your plate, as a wheelchair user? And then the other thing is people have to, and one of the hardest things I'm learning about aging, I'm already disabled and I'm learning about aging with a disability, is when the independence that you do have starts to fade, is learning to ask for help when
Oh.
when you've either refused it or not needed it before. I think a great role for the deacons and the disability ministry, and even the pastors, would be to seek out a new person with a disability that joins or visits and say, hey, what can we do to make this easier for you? I think another thing, and the potluck provider, the food providers are not going to love this, but make a little card with the ingredients
Mhm.
that are on there.
Yeah, you're getting some love for that comment. Yes.
Yeah, make a list of the ingredients that are on there to so that people know. As a diabetic, as someone with food allergies, I have to know. I carry an EpiPen, but not everybody carries an EpiPen. That would be another thing, is churches should invest in EpiPens. And my last thing is this, part of respect, especially if you're gathered as a church, and part of modeling respect for your elders is letting them go first.
Mhm.
Let them go first, get them through that line and seated so that they don't have to wait.
Love it.
So.
Okay. So I'm going to share. Thank you, Melissa. Those are some fabulous ideas. So I was kind of jotting notes with what Melissa was saying, what's going on in the chat. So with me, I'm going to just repeat back some of these things. So using the buddy system to help, those who may have difficulty navigating holding a plate or whatever. You could use students for that. What a great opportunity for some intergenerational bonding. Make sure that little kids aren't running around because it's hard, like visually, to see them. They create obstacles. Label foods for allergy. Label foods. So those with allergies can make wise choices. Watch for the chatters. So the ones that are chit-chatting and holding up the line. So Tori gave the example of be more like the airlines. So those with mobility limitations and special dietary needs, etc., go first and get assistance if they need it, if they desire it. And then the quote, general boarding, or in this case, the buffet plate loading. So I love that, that visual of how to do that. And then Melissa brought up, out of respect, let's let our elders go first. So let me see. I just want to make sure I have all the, and maybe he'll go through the line first. It may need extra assistant. Yes. Do not feed the service dogs. Good.
Yeah, sorry. That was one that I threw out. When I was still ambulatory, my service dogs were Newfoundlands. And if you don't know anything about Newfies, my girls weighed 200 pounds apiece, and I'm 5 feet tall, and their top of their heads were above my hip level.
Wow.
So they were at eye level with the food. And yes, it was incumbent on me to keep control of the dog and make sure the dog was well trained, but it was also incumbent on other people. Don't feed the dogs, don't tease the dogs with food. And and if my dog happens to grab something off the table, please don't yell it out to the whole room. Don't humiliate. And I'm speaking from real experience. I had a dog grab a ham off a table one time.
Oh my.
Oh, it was awful. And I politely went and cowered in the corner. So, but just don't make a big deal about it.
Okay. And we did a roundtable on service dogs. Service dogs in church, basically. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is, before I get to the other hands that are up, I'm just going through the chat just to make sure we haven't missed anything. So there was discussion about Zoom worship and the importance of anytime Zoom worship is offered, there needs to be people who will physically visit those on Zoom, as there are aspects of being physically with other believers that cannot be replicated with Zoom. So thank you for sharing that, Sarah. You got some love on your comments there. So Tori shared that her church is forming teams that will visit those who can't come in person once a month, hopefully 4 in the team, so that people get a visit each week. That's very cool. I love that. And Kathleen shares, similarly, we have a homebound ministry in which we visit those who can't attend church. I mean, this is so important, right? Just that in-person. So even if they can't come in the building, you can kind of bring the building to them in a way. A churchless live stream. There's potential for people to visit shut-ins in a mutually convenient time, not necessarily on Sundays, and that's great. And again, Mary, I hope you check out the chat, because people are really lifting you up. So Sarah, we are a church of small groups, not a church with small groups. So our small groups are the bridge for those who cannot physically make it in. Each church member is required to be part of at least one small group to make sure they are being poured into. So I love that. So Sarah's church has identified that this is part of their discipleship pathway. And so this is really part of what it means to be a member of her church. And so they're making that available. All right, Lindsay did share some hybrid worship ideas. And I'm just going to read it in case anybody doesn't have access to the chat, but here we go. Hybrid worship ideas for engagement. Mentioning online worshipers during the welcome. So that's, acknowledging that they're there and welcoming them. Passing the peace by having people put on their video and scan the congregation that is in person, and everyone waves to the online worshipers. That's cool. For communion, we encourage people at home to find something like bread and something like wine or juice, and then they hold the elements and offer them up to the camera so they are served. They say, Christ's body broken for you, Christ's blood shed for you, and look at the camera. Our parish model also includes organized activities and events at our at-large parish. So our at-large parish does this with online worshipers. Very cool. Thanks for the recap, Lindsay. That's really helpful. And then just an FYI, a great question was raised, considering we're talking about accessibility. Should we be having online, or should we be having captioning for these Zoom calls? And the answer is you can do it yourself. You can actually turn it on. And so thank you everybody for teaching us about that accessibility feature. And again, please reach out if there's ever anything we can do to make this more accessible to you. All right. So we need to make sure we're not just relying on online church because of that isolation. Lindsay shared sometimes, okay. So they use the same Zoom link so Lindsay is the one that talked about the hybrid service. They use the same Zoom link every week. So that kind of like we do for this. Every month we use the same Zoom link. Bulletins are sent out in the weekly email. They sometimes have people give their testimony or give prayer requests from Zoom during the service. Okay, and then there was a whole discussion on fonts, and I found this fascinating and totally worth the price of admission. So here's some notes for you. So some fonts are better than others for for low vision. So here's what people have to say. So Arial is better than Times New Roman because it's the same size on the letters, whereas Times New Roman has thicker and thinner sides. Interesting. Okay. Using a sans serif font is helpful for people with dyslexia. Arial is a good one for that too. And I've even seen there is a dyslexia font. I know when I'm reading on my Kindle, sometimes I put that on. In our church, let's see. Oh, okay. I thought there was one more font thing. Maybe not. Oh, wait, here we go. Italicized print is very difficult to read for people with visual challenges. Mary called the Site Center when she was doing screens for her church. So that's a really good tip to get the professional opinion. They suggested using Calibri for the font and do not bold it. it makes it fussy for those who have problems seeing. I love that, Mary. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so now that's your little font, your font lesson for today. But there's more, so get ready. Let's see. We have, okay, in our church, we have a support group for caregivers of those with dementia and other age-related issues that is hosted within our special needs space, caregivers in one room and cared for in another with trained volunteers. That is awesome. And I want to put a pin in dementia for a second because I want to come back to that. Other things from the chat, and then I'm going back to the raised hands. So Megan says we got a grant to install door openers, good for wheelchair users and general mobility issues also. And Tori wants to know where you got the grant for that. And Sarah said in the universal design vein, it also helps mom with kids. Yes. The grant was from United Methodist Diversity Services. Okay. Let's see. Tori's church has wheelchairs, walkers, etc. to use in the church, and her church and other local churches have free loan/own equipment closets for when people need walkers, shower chairs, commodes, etc. I just want to see a quick show of hands. How many of you loan out wheelchairs or medical equipment, things like the shower chairs and things like that? So a couple. Okay. Okay, and then, yeah, Melissa gave a pro tip on the wheelchairs that are available. Make sure the wheelchairs, etc., are not stored in a way that blocks the electric door button if there is one. Her church struggles with that. Yes, keep them out of walkways if you have them near the emergency exit, because we only use it in emergencies. Yeah, they will prevent a safe exit. Okay. All right, and then there is some information about, so for hearing loss, so hearing aids, the T-coil, so a referral is in here. Juliet Sturkins is a hearing loss consultant paid for by the Myers Foundation, so it's free for churches. So if you want more information about doing hearing loop. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so much good stuff. All right, I'm gonna go out from the chat for a second. So so I have 4 people in line with their hand up. Melissa, you were first. Did we cover you already, or you're still up? Okay, go ahead.
So I put in the chat a link to the Administration on Aging at the Federal Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay.
I was the previous commissioner of the Administration on Disability 7 years ago. And I learned through that every single county in the United States and every single state has an office on aging. And you can go to that website and get the information for your local office. And they can give you all kinds of resources. And you can even put your church up there as a church that's friendly to people with disabilities, things like that. And they offer some great things for people who are just starting to navigate, either for their own sake or as parental caregivers, and especially for sandwich generation people. I have dear friends who right now are my age, which I'm going to scare all of you. I'll be 60 in 6 months. And they have a child with a disability, a grandchild with a disability, and their parents are aging. And so they're caught. Yeah. And this place gives some great resources. And I also stuck my email in there. I'll stick it in again. This is part of what I do, and I would love to be a resource for anybody that needs it. I'm really good at thinking outside the box. So that was all I was going to say.
Love it. Thank you, Melissa. And I know we have more than just Americans on here, but you probably Yeah. But I'm sure there's something similar in your country. Thank you for sharing. All right. Pretmar 82.
Marley, sorry, can't change that so it says my name. But yeah, I'm dialing in from the UK, so another one here. I just wanted to share this. I don't know if you can see it. It's a magnifier.
Huh, okay.
So we've got a few of these in just with the Bibles around the church.
Yes.
So we just got them on Amazon, really. But they've been quite helpful for people with low visual ability. And then also for the temperature thing, we've got a stack of blankets at the back, so people can grab some blankets. If the kind of the aircraft type blankets, people can grab a blanket if they need that. So yeah, and then also our church have got things like a care coordinator that people can contact if they need help getting to the hospital, or for appointments and that sort of thing, and then they'll send out a message and find somebody who can take them. And we also offer small groups at different times of the day to accommodate different, well, just to suit people who can't go in the evenings, for example. But then I also have a kind of a question that I want to throw out there, because what we found is that sometimes there can be a little bit of a conflict between the needs of the aging community and the needs of children with additional needs. As we've already talked about, mobility issues, people having difficulty hearing, and then you've got a noisy child who's having difficulty being still and keeping quiet. So I just wanted to throw out the question and see if anyone's got ideas of dealing with that sort of situation. We've thought about zoning, but again, you've got the risk there of excluding people if you stick them to a zone. So I just wanted to see if there's any ideas on that.
All right. Well, you raised a lot of good ideas and questions. So she has a couple of really clever, easy solutions, or support. So magnifying glasses for the teeny tiny print that's in the Pew Bibles, having blankets available. So for folks that are really susceptible to the cooler temperatures. They have a care coordinator at their church, and they're intentionally offering small groups during the day for those that aren't wanting to do evening activities. And yes, so when we're trying to figure out how to best include everybody, sometimes these are, groups that have needs that are actually kind of opposing each other in a way sometimes. So does anybody have any thoughts on that? Or that could be that could be its own topic at some point, perhaps.
Hi,
Anybody
this
want
is
to chime in? Yeah, Charlotte.
I'm sorry.
No, still muted. It'll be worth the wait, folks. We'll get
All
her
right.
on mute.
Well,
There we go.
I'm sure about that. We'll see. This is a very small idea, but one thing our church is working on right now, we just got an accessibility grant a little while ago from our state denominational association, which was amazing. And so we're working on getting live captions, which really there's a lot of ways you can do live captions now, even individually, like on your iPhones and iPads, that the live captions are really helpful. So I've even just told some people in our congregation, you can, just use those right now all the time, because people don't even know they have, everyone has that now on their iPhone, if you have an iPhone. So it's really amazing. It's just in the accessibility section, and you can turn on live captions and use it anywhere you go. But our church is working on trying to get live captions, which I do think is a great universal design, because more people than they even, I use live captions now all the time just because it's really nice. I have some auditory discrimination issues and I'm not necessarily hard of hearing, but it just makes everything easier. So I think a lot of people benefit from the live captions that don't even realize they need them. And it does help with some of those issues, because our church is really great. We don't just, worry about the noise. If there's people making noise, which I really love that about our church, but at the same time, there are true needs to be able to hear at times. So the live captions, I think, can really be helpful for that particular issue. Another really simple thing that our church has done is chairs with handrails, arm rests, because, again, a lot of people will stop coming to church because they just literally have issues even, sitting and raising from their chair. And so that's a super simple fix. And how our church has dealt with that, we do not have pews anyway. We just have chairs in our congregation. So we've scattered, we are low budget church. So we have scattered as many chairs as we can afford right now with armrests so that, we can help people get to those chairs or they can just see them and spot them and go themselves. But we're hopefully eventually, hoping to get armrests on all of our chairs. But right now that's kind of our solution, but just some really simple things. I love the ideas people have. They're just really, elegant and simple, because I think the universal design really is helpful to so many people that don't even realize they need the help and are helped by that.
Love it. Okay, so live captioning, I mean, it helps everybody. The chairs with armrests. And here's what I heard Charlotte say. Like, their church did not have the budget to put all new seating in for the entire worship space, but they intentionally placed some of these chairs with armrests throughout so that folks could, sit kind of in their preferred section, but have that support. Okay, we are getting super close to the top of the hour. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to mention one more thing that came in the chat, and that was carts. Having carts available. And now I can't find the thing, but it's back so far. But small carts to help. To allow independence in the buffet lines. Okay, so that was back to the thing. Okay, we are going to go. I want everybody who hasn't had a chance yet. So we're going to go Allison and Beatrice, and then that might be our last one. Allison.
Hi there. I feel I'm the hybrid link between our English people and our American people, because I'm in America, but originally from England. So I'm in Kennett Square in Pennsylvania and head up the disability ministry here. And I just wanted to add two real quick comments. I promise I'll be quick, Beth. My first one is I'm excited to see information about the T-loop, the T-coil loop system here, because my mum has it everywhere she goes in the UK, but she can never find it here in the US. So I'm going to research that. And my second one, that just something different. We do a lot of the things that people have talked about here for an aging community. But the one thing that struck me that we've done this last year that's been just a really good community connection is that we've linked our older group, which is called Encore, with our high school ministry at a couple of events to really bring those two communities together, to provide, for them to get to know the individuals both ways, so that there's true friendships have been born from that, to the point where when we did our senior send-off with our college kids going off, our senior high schoolers going off to college, the prayer group that formed around them in church by people who genuinely knew them was just huge. And that was because there had been intentional, they were like game nights, and then they would lead into prayer opportunities. And it was just a very intentional way to bring those two groups together, and everybody's loved it. So
I love that. I love the whole intergenerational thing, and it really benefits both, people groups. It just benefits your church as a whole. I love the name Encore too. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to go to Beatrice next, and then I have like a couple things I need to tell you all. So go ahead.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Beatrice, and I come to you from Baltimore, Maryland. My comment was at the church I attend, they have rows on the front of the walkways for the seniors and the wheelchair bound. wherever the walkways are, the main walkways, they have chairs that don't have chairs in front of them, so they can just sit across the front. And they also have Zoom worship, and the words are put up on the screens, big enough for everyone to see. But I would have to go check to see if everyone can actually see them.
Right.
Also, but my question, my concern right today is about families with disabled children or autistic people who would need a different sensory experience.
Yeah, and I mean, so that's probably a subject for another roundtable.
Okay.
Because I think this group has a whole bunch of ideas. So let's table that one for the
Okay.
future, because we are pretty much at the top of the hour. So here's what I want to tell you all. There is so much chat going on over here in the chat. I've taken notes. So here's what we are going to do. So my colleague Lara Roberts and I are going to put together a downloadable something that you can that will incorporate some things from the chat and just our takeaways from today's discussion. I'm going to include some links, and this may be in the chat already, but I know where are you, Tori? There's that coffee table book. Do you know which one?
Are you thinking of the devotions for today?
I think so.
Okay, I'll put the link in for that too.
Yeah. Because this is something I really want you all to check out. It's such a great idea, to take to, like, nursing homes and that kind of thing, and working with people with dementia. So I know Tori will find that link. We will definitely include this in the handout. So let me tell you that you all, as members of this mailing list, will get an email maybe in about a week. We'll see, right, Lara? Well, it depends on, we'll see how we're doing. At some point in the next week or two, you will get a link with kind of our take on, what was talked about today, and some what we think will be helpful resources. You always have access to this recording, because I am confident that it recorded this time, unlike last week or last month. And we just want to continue these discussions. For those of you who are not super familiar with Key Ministry, part of what we do is we gather people together for conversations. So we have these types of roundtables. We also do a national conference, and that is happening in April in the Washington, D.C. area, April of 2026. And we also are having a regional conference, a Disability in the Church tour stop in the Cleveland, Ohio area next month. So if you go to keyministry.org, you can see all of our events, virtual and in person. And we just encourage you to continue to collaborate with us and have these conversations, so that we can make our churches places of belonging for everybody, including those born with disabilities and who have aged into them. So thank you all for being here, and we look forward to seeing you next time. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.